nowadays with the biology, everything, of course, since long already, we want to talk to computer. So talking to the computer is most important thing. Now, how do we talk to the computer? We need to understand the language of the computer. As we speak like English, any other languages, these are the thing, and of course languages for the computer also there. Since very old, many assembly language and like binary code language, all such kind of languages were there in much like 20-30 years before. But now we have much more, we are much more facilitated with better languages where we can more easily understand them. But I assume that you might have already seen some kind of binary, so changing the value system, so from binary system to decimal system, such kind of a thing. So that learning actually is useful here when you want to talk to the computer. So whenever you talk to a computer, actually, so the computer knows only binary system. It knows until, let's hope, at some point quantum computing comes. That at that point of the time, this complete methodology changes. But until then, right now, it's a binary what the computer understands. So when you want, it can only understand zeros and ones. Now, when you want to talk to the computer, then you have to talk only in terms of zeros and ones. Now, whatever you take, any letter what you type, I'm just giving very basic thing, just to know that how, when you use the computer, that you have in mind what is happening in the behind. You can ask more questions on this, but it's fine, completely fine if you don't know more depths into this. Just a basic understanding how it is. So whenever you type a letter, any letter on the keyboard, for example, A, if you type an A, letter A, that has some number, ASCII number, is called ASCII number, and that number, like for example 65, is a number that is getting translated to some binary system, and that's ones and zeros. The complete one zeros is actually given to the computer. Now these ones and zeros is like, maybe if you know electronics more about, it's 0 and 5 volts. So that's basically is the difference what it computer able to recognize what is 0 and what is 1. So when you type just an A alphabet, it is actually taking completely in the form of binary system, and then it is understanding. So that is the method what you try to talk to the computer. Um, Although this is there, but to make it more easier, there is a kind of assembly language came in between, and then afterwards the languages what we speak, or let's say what we right now using, not speak, but right now we are using those languages, which I'll let you know in next slides. So that's basically a computer language what you want to talk. So it's basically zeros and ones. So now when this is zeros and ones, everything, now it's like something, let's assume for basic things, if you want to, any basic things you want to do, that are most likely are understandable. Now the question is, what is basic thing? How do you define the basic thing? Many basic things are, so for example, 20 years before, having an internet is not that a basic utility resource, but right now internet became as a kind of basic thing. Almost to everybody internet is there. So this basic thing and definition can keeps on changing. Now what happens is, what I'm trying to say here is, whatever the things, basic things what we want to speak with the computer, all those are kept as an operating system. So that's the basic philosophy of having an operating system. So whatever the, let's say if you want to put some data from one place to another, most likely you've been using some browsers, browsing internet, saving some files, downloading files, copying one place to another, giving to friends, having movies, audio files, and all these things, or data in bioinformatics. So all these kind of copying, all those things become a kind of basic things. Managing the data, all those such kind of things, the computer, we should be able to do very easily, because those become kind of basic things. So operating system is a thing which keeps on growing. And another thing for the operating system is, you might have already heard about it, drivers, installing drivers. That's also is installing into the computer operating system. So these drivers are basically to, whenever you take each of the electronic device, each electronic device has its own kind of architecture or kind of circuit board, everything. So completely different. Now each component, what are the components are there, what, how, which components has to be communicated or which components has to be touched, and which components internally they communicate. All those is kind of communication. um, the operating system or the user doesn't know. For example, if you buy a new component, new electronic device, maybe a mouse you purchased, a wireless mouse. So you purchased it, your operating system doesn't know how to communicate with it. So now the point is, uh, we attach the either Bluetooth or maybe USB, wireless USB. That's the thing you take, and then when you attach to your computer or a laptop, it, if the operating system already know what are the components of those things, then it can already start working. But if it doesn't know, then it requires the drivers. So that's basically installing the drivers. That's what you might have heard sometimes. So these drivers are also becoming part of operating systems. So, I mean, not now, since many years, it's already been part of operating system. So what companies, whenever they manufacture, they give it to operating system. So please put it in such a kind of, such that they are already available. So mostly right now in the market, so basic things are already available. So now when coming to operating system, like, yeah, I was saying that laptop, desktop, smartphone, or tablet, any kind of electronic devices requires an operating system. So now it's not only just devices which we actually use. Now it's becoming more in the daily life. Maybe some people of you has like a Google Nest Hub or Echo or Dot, some kind of devices, or even fridges. We are talking to fridges, refrigerators, everything. So all the electronic devices, we're able to talk to them. That is basically an operating system is already built into this. But each operating system is a different thing. It has kind of compact, somewhere it's much more robust, and sometimes it's huge, sometimes it's very micro kind of operating system. So we take only that much what is required. So for each electronic device, the what is a basic thing is a different thing. So obviously the operating system also accordingly changes. So basically, operating system, what it does is it allows us to interact with the device, and of course within two devices also it allows that. So most common operating systems are Windows, Linux operating system, and Mac OS. So these are the extremely popular operating systems. Um, so let's have some quiz. I have some kind of quiz. Let's see if it works out, then it's good. What you have to do is just go to this website and then type in this pin. Everybody can participate. I know some of them can easily answer, but of course, whoever wants to participate can.
Students, if they have the laptops or desktops, it will be easy actually. Sir,
Yeah,
or else they
either
can
with the
do on
mobile also.
mobiles
With the
also. Yeah.
mobile also, yes, it's possible with mobile also. You can just go to this website and then type in this pin. Great. Aradhya, Devansh, and others wants to participate, or should I start?
Sir, I'm trying, sir. So, what is that website, sir? Kahoot is the.
Kahoot, yeah, KAHOOT.IT.
Okay. Just a minute,
Yeah,
sir. I'll
One
just.
minute, I'm also going to
yeah, go on.
join.
Join.
Yeah. Okay. I'll just enter the pin.
It's very tiny and fun. That's not much. It's not about testing you, but it's more about fun and just have some fun about knowing the knowledge. Yes. Okay, I'll also wait for Bhavya. She wants to join. So, Bhavya, are you able to join? Great. So, I'll start. Okay. Yes, thanks, Indrani. So you'll get some question you have to answer, and it will be very quick. there is only time limit, so you have to answer quickly. I hope you're able to see that. Yeah. So which of the following is the logo of Linux? So just select whichever is the correct one. So you have 30 seconds, already 10 over. One answer, two answers, three, four. Yes. Okay, then it makes sense that we have this session because not all were able to answer. So yes, the second one, or let's say the blue color, the penguin, that's the logo of the Linux. And for others, that's for you to know that this is the logo of Linux. And the other two are logos of Windows and Mac OS. So this red color one is for Windows, and then the other one is for the Mac. So yeah, next question. Okay, yeah, there's some points, but it's okay. Yeah, if you need to answer quickly. So the people, if all of you answer a correct answer, but then it will go by who answers quickly. So that in that way also you get points. Okay. Firefox is an example of. Okay, three answers. Okay, you have sufficient time, but if everybody answers, then I think we can go for. Okay, so I see some wrong answers still here. So it's good that we are having
Excuse me,
session then.
sir.
Okay, yeah. Yes.
So the answers, the options appears on our screen, or we have to look in the screen you are presenting.
So here, okay, the answers. So you can see my screen. That's easier for the answer.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, once
Yeah,
you see
yeah,
the question, you can then just
yeah.
switch
I
over
can actually go a
your
bit
screen.
slow. Yeah, then it's okay. Easier. Yeah. Yes. So that's internet browser. So it's not green. Okay, it's not an email program, and of course it's not an animal. Okay, so yeah, it's not an email program. Of course you can also say it's an email program because nowadays you're accessing all the emails from your browser, but Firefox itself is basically when it comes, both internet browser option is there, then it makes more appropriate is internet browser. So what is browser? Browser is an application which allows you to access any content in the internet. So that's basically the idea of the internet browser. So yeah, well, like you have file browser like Windows Explorer, that's in Windows. In the similar way, in the Windows Explorer you browse your data. So internet browser is for internet browsing. I go for the next question. Okay, Devansh answered faster. Okay. True or false? Can we run Linux in a Windows operating system? Is it true or false? Yes, exactly. That's true. Many of you answered correctly. We can run, and of course, there are several options, but it's possible. Okay, next, one more question. Okay. Who is the inventor of Linux? A bit tricky because all looks a bit similar answers. You have to observe the spelling. Not many got it. Okay, so it's Linus Torvalds. Okay, so it's not Linux. Of course, based on him, the Linux operating system came. The name Linux also came. So he actually developed the um, core of the operating system of the Linux. So it's called as kernel. Actually, I would like to show that website also when it comes to kernel. So you can visit. So it's kernel.org is the where the always the kernel is developed. I mean, there is a group of community. It's a very large community right now. When it grown up, it started only with he's the lone person when he started, but it grown up in a very huge community. I'll just go back to the presentation and come back here again. So yeah, Linux was the first introduced in September in 1991 by Linus Torvalds. It's a complete open source software. So what is meant by open source software? So actually, so I'm part of the foundation which is called TMS Foundation. It's called Tarunavadani Sahamukti Bharatunyan Samstha. The meaning in that also an open Bharat foundation for development with the contribution of youth. So it's basically open source is it's anybody can develop and give it to the world, and they can start using it. Based on that, he can come, the person, next person can develop from there. So it's completely as a free. Now the question is, free is sometimes wrongly understood. So if that means you can't earn based on that. Yes, you can do that, but the service what you do, that is one of the thing where you can earn based on that. But also there are several kind of licenses and other things, but I will not go more into that. This is for too much detailed topic for you. But open source software is something, it is you develop and you give it to everybody. They will also use it, and then based on that they develop further. So when it was like 20 years before, it was not that convenient operating system for Linux for everybody to use. Nowadays everybody is using, everything is available, like browser, all kind of things, whatever you say. And of course, and they are much more faster compared to the Windows. The reason it's faster is because the way the kernel itself is there, it's the strategy what followed in the kernel, Linux kernel, is completely a bit different to the Windows, and that makes it a bit more robust and multi-user and multitasking operating system. Of course, all other operating system also multi-user and multitasking operating system. The complete system, the kernel is based on C programming language. So the kernel what Linux has is based on C programming language, and it's mix of a shell programming and command line interfaces. Command line interface is something what you basically type some commands and then give as an input to the computer such that it can follow those instructions. So the complete kernel started with the C programming language, but gradually it grown up and it's taking up more other languages also. But anyway, still majorly it is a C programming language. But why Linux? Yes, that's definitely a question. Yeah, I was saying this absolutely free, and it's a safe and secure. So safe and secure is why I would say, of course, all operating systems, they tend to be safe, and they will try effort very gives a lot. All the operating system providers very much try to make it safe and secure. I'm not saying that Windows or any other operating system are not safe and secure, but Linux is a bit more secure. The reason is a couple of reasons. So it's a kind of not many people use the Linux, and so not many target. That's a kind of one answer I would say. So not many spams and other things don't target Linux, because for them they want to target a larger audience, where Windows is a larger audience and they'll target that one. But apart from that, my bigger thing is that in Linux, if some bug happens, solving that bug, the whole community is there. For Windows, it's the company is actually solving, or for the Apple Mac OS, it's basically the companies are solving it. And so which means if there is a huge number of bugs, or whatever number of bugs come, so they have a company, only the people who employed in that company will work on that. Whereas the Linux operating system is contributed by several people, and it's an active community. Of course, if the community is not active, then it will not be safe and secure. But if the community is a very strong, active community, and many people just for fun, they keep doing lot of things. And I would strongly recommend in India, people, we should start using lot as a normal, as an operating system, as a in place of Windows, because India can contribute a lot in Linux operating system, which till now other countries have been doing. And because we have so much of community and people in India, so we can definitely contribute. So if you start using, and if you go into more depth of understanding, so just for fun you have to do in that way, and that will be much more enjoying. So it's an open source and safe, secure operating system, and these are the major reasons I would say why we use for Linux. And also it's more about accommodating a lot of applications. It has thousands of applications. It also have all the browsers. All browser providers are coming to Linux also, they're giving, and in fact it's been long, it's many years now, and thousands of applications is possible. And the facility here is you can actually decide how much of operating system you want to have. For example, usually what happens is, if you have Windows operating system, it keeps on growing with the updates and other things. But if you and actually, many users don't use many of the processes which run background, which are not required, but you cannot stop them, or you cannot decide what to take and what not to take. Whereas that's possibility in Linux. You can actually build an operating system by on your own. It's very it's not that complicated. If you invest a person who is completely basic user, if they invest 3 to 6 months, they will be able to develop their own operating system. So you can say, okay, I'll use browser, I'll use this, I'll use ABCD application, and only these applications I will have, and I'll build my own operating system. Then you don't have all other things which you don't require, which means your computer will be much faster. Because usually what happens is, with other operating system, it will be running like 10,000 or 20,000 things in the background, but you require probably 100 or 200 things. All other things you don't require. So if you want to stop them and then you want to use, and this Linux can be a solution for that. So there are that, which is why there are several flavors of Linux. I will actually show you that. Uh, so if you see, there's a very interesting diagram. So if you see, this is the diagram. Okay, I'll just make it small because first, wait. So this is the diagram because it has so many things and it's not so visible. I'm making it enlarged. Now, this is the kind of diagram. If you see, it starts, and then based on each of the operating system, so everything gets developed. So for example, it started kind of, one of the method is Slackware, and from that Vector Linux, Slacks, Plamo, DNA Linux. So this kind of variety of flavors came in under it. Lenovo, Wi-Fi. So there are thousands of flavors are there. So several flavors. You can also see distro watch page. It actually shows which kind of flavor is getting more popular. If you see, in the last 12 months, MX Linux was very popular. In last 6 months, MX Linux, Endeavor OS, Manjaro, Pop OS, Ubuntu, probably Ubuntu you might have heard, Fedora you might have heard. So these are kind of ranking. So there are several kind of Linuxes. So if each like group of people take their own kind of packages and then make their own thing, and then again provide it to community. So you can use any of these things, and all are Linux operating systems, and all these are operating system Linux are based on the same kernel, which I earlier said. Most of them, very few would be completely changing that kernel, but again they will keep at least 5 to 10% of same kernel. So yeah, that's because of so many applications and that's so many facilities, this Linux is better one. Okay, let's go back for quiz again. Okay, next. Okay, Devansh is still leading. True or false? Yeah, probably I answered it. Okay, so yes, that's next. I'll go for the next one. Which of the following are programming languages? Okay, 3 answers. Do I get more answers? Okay.
I'm having network issue actually.
Okay. Okay. Nice. Yes. So actually, all are programming languages. So you can select everything. So only so some of them you selected. Okay, that's good. Fine. So all are the programming languages. Okay, we go back to presentation again. Okay, so there are some commands. We can go through that one. Before that, maybe I'll show you how you actually can go through. I'm not sure. So I want to know what kind of systems you have. You all have Windows systems, I presume. Am I correct, Aradhya and Devansh?
Aradhya and yeah, Devansh. Yes, sir. They have that. Devansh, I think also they have that system.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Fine.
You can proceed, sir.
Just a minute. I was actually trying one our website, but that's not available right now. So let's see if you can go with this one. There's also this Cocal. But anyway, I think it's better that I will show. And of course, I'm giving this website is on the in the link. Um, you can try, but first probably you can see on my screen what I'm showing, and then afterwards you can try. And of course, I can also explain you if you want to install and go in that direction. I can guide you on that direction also. So first, let me show you a couple of things. So let's see date command. Okay, I'll so in Linux, what you have is kind of commands. So you also find such a kind of similar thing in Windows. So this is called a terminal. What you see is kind of terminal here. And Windows, you usually called it as CMD or command prompt. And here, if I type here, I can type commands like this. And then if I type date, then it gives me date completely. And there are options with the date. I can put like something like this date hyphen date, and then 2 years ago. Let's see what will happen. Let's see. Yes, you can have these are options. So when you see date and then you have double dash and then date. So these are kind of options that you can provide. So without options, it gives one output, and with when you add another option to it, then it gives another kind of output, whatever you have. So based on that existing one, and then on that a kind of changes to that. So now I see here 2 years ago. So it gives a date, 2 years ago date. So it's now 2020 date. So yeah, such kind of options you can give, and then you will get date. Any questions? Please stop me or raise hands. Everything is fine.
Sundar sir has joined. Welcome you, sir.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Welcome, Sundar. So yeah, and then let's try to make a file. Usually when you want to make a file, you use Notepad or Notepad plus plus, or maybe such a kind of editors in Windows. So let's try to make such a kind of file on the terminal. So you can just say touch. Okay, let me make a directory first. So I'm making a directory called pixx, and then I'm going into the directory. Okay, is it good enough to see it, or should I make it increase the font?
So you can increase the font. Actually, it's
Yeah,
yeah, a
yeah,
bit more, sir. If it is fine.
yeah, sure,
Yes, sir.
sure.
Yes, sir.
Is it better now?
Yes,
Yeah,
sir. Yes.
okay. So with mkdir bixs, I just made a folder. So usually what happens is when you make it in a normal browser, a file browser, it will be different. I will just show that. So if you see here, you will have, I have a folder called Bixes. So I made this folder, in fact, and I'm into that folder. So now I'm actually traversing into that folder. So make there, I made this one. So there is nothing here if you see. Now if I make, I can make a document here, create a document, an empty document, and call it like first document. Okay. And now I want to see that document, then I have to go into the directory. So I'm in the same, okay, maybe I'll keep it like this. Then you see both together. So now if I want to see what are the contents within the directory, then I have to go into the directory. And to go into the directory, I use the command cd bixs. Okay, and then I'm right now into the directory. And now if I type ls, then I see the same. So it's the same thing. What you see from here, it's the same thing again. So now you can add, now you can add some content into that document or in that file. There are several methods of doing. I know these things are a lot of commands. I don't want to rush with a lot of commands because we have just 1 hour session. So in that, the idea is not to remember that you all remember all the commands, but to understand what can be possible or how it is. So the more you try to work with the terminal, it's a bit easier to do, and I mean it's more faster and it becomes easier. Of course, in starting it will be difficult to remember and to understand all those things, but once you understand, it becomes very easy to actually access the data. And when you are in doing working in bioinformatics field, you deal with a lot of data, and that data, if you want to manage with the data and get analysis of data, and staying in terminal and then doing it is much more easier for you. So yeah, just try to understand what is there or what facilities are there, and experiencing with these commands, do it later. There are several websites, several tutorials, everything. So basic commands in Linux, in that way you can start, and you can actually when you have a kind of basic understanding, afterwards you can also do something like this, that you do every work only from the command line. So, and then you will definitely get solutions. Once you get habituated for that, it will be much more easier. So yeah, so the date command we have seen. Let's see what else. Okay, touch file. Okay, we'll create the file, same thing, from the command line now. So touch, I'm creating a second file now. So if I create here, and this will come here. So if you see, the document came in. So it's the same thing. Now I can open this. It gets opened in gedit, it's called. So it's opened as second file. So you can write whatever you want. Okay, so now I can save it, and now I want to see the contents of it. Now for that, there's a command called cat and then the file name. Maybe I'll just increase this. Yeah, second file. So whatever I wrote, I'm able to get here. That's on the command line. Okay. So yeah, we did all these things. Now we made a new file. Okay, we can do something like kind of pushing one contents to another file. So we have two files right now. So one is, so to know what are the files are there, ls or ll also should be fine, but it gives a more information. Now ls we do, and we see both the files. And now I want to copy the contents of second file into first document. So for that, you can just cat the second file and then say like a redirection operator and then the first one. Now the contents will go into the first document. Now if I say now cat first document, you'll see the same thing again. You want to add more to it, then so for example, there is a command called echo. So with echo command, it will just echo whatever I written. So now I want to add this into the second document. For that, and I don't want to delete what is existing already. So for that, you have to give 2 times this greater than operator and then first document. So it will get added into that. Now if I again cat the first document, I will see both the lines. First line which we added first, and then again I added this one. So these kind of operators and these kind of things, there are many facilities with the terminal. Let's see, go to the thing. CD we have seen. But basically, CD stands for change directory, and you go into the directory. Now, for example, you have heard about the CD now. Now, if you want to know more about it, you don't know now how. There is a facility in the terminal that you can type man and then CD. Man is for the manual, and then you just type the command name. So then you will see, oh, okay, for the manual CD is nothing there. Let's see if there is for cat. Okay, for cat, there is a manual entry. So if you see, cat is means concatenate files and print onto the standard, and how you want to use description. So here, if you see cat and then options, whatever you have, options in the sense, these are options. This minus a, minus b, these are options. If you give minus a option, it will show everything. It will give, if you give minus b option, number non-block. So kind of these kind of options, minus n, number, all output lines. So it will give, let's see, minus n, let's try this. Cat minus n, and then first document. You see the line numbers came in now. So if you added this one, and without minus n, you will not have that one. So you have, like, you want to know more that options, you can just type man, and then you can read through all the possible options. Okay. PWD. PWD is thing we want to know where we are. So for example, if you want to know, then I type PWD, then I know that I'm in the folder called home, under that home Kiran, and under that BXS. If you see, that's the same thing here. Home Kiran Vikas. Now, to understand this path, a bit tricky, because when you're using most of the time Windows, you will see there is in this computer, if you're using Windows 10, you will see this computer, and in that you will see C drive or D drive, Windows drive, or the kind of drive information. And once you go into that drive, if you see in the top, you will also find something similar kind of path. But the slashes will be another slashes. In one system, then is forward slash. In another system, it's a backward slash. So you can, but you will see it's basically the path of that folder or file. And so under home, so first there is a slash. It starts, the Linux starts from the slash. So in the slash, you have all these kind of files. If you see here, this one, and I'll show the same thing here. So if I go cd slash and then press ls, yeah, you will see same things, bin, boot, cd, on all those things here. So it's basically the same. It's just that view is different. Right now we are watching here, you are seeing in the terminal, and here you are seeing in file browser. So under this, now I have to go to home, and then under this again I have to go to Kiran, and under this fix. So we have to take care of small and smaller case and lower case and uppercase letters. You have so they are specific. So now I'm again into the same folder. Okay. Basically, if you want to know where you are there, so pwd you type and you get that information. Path of working directory. Print working directory. Yeah. Less is also kind of similar command, which what we did with the cat. So if I say less and then file name, it will show what is the contents of it. And to go out of it, I need to press Q. I pressed Q, then I went out of the document. So I'm going very fast, I think so. So if you have any questions, I'll just pause for a minute so you can ask me more questions. Okay, I'll continue in that case. Fine. So next one is head. So if you want to see the head, which means if there is a file which has a lot of data, then it will show only few lines of it. So now, although for the head here, it might show complete contents because there are not many lines. But if there are thousands of lines and you want to just see top lines or top n number of lines. So for example, here I can say minus n and then 1. It will show only one line. So I gave an option of minus n and then gave the number 1, and it gives me only one line. So you can save how many lines you want to see if the file has many lines, because usually in bioinformatics data, you have several lines, and then you want to see only top lines sometimes, because they're kind of pattern repeating. So you don't want to see everything, but at least you want to see the top. And that point, you can use this command. So let's have the quiz again. I think there are no couple of questions more in the quiz. Right, so Indrani is still going strong. Okay, so it's the last question. Can you guess from the logo which programming language is it? Is this? Okay, so one answer. Good. So that's the Python programming language logo. Okay, great. So nice. Okay, you can see who are on the podium, but it's okay. Not many people are there. You are not competing each other with a lot many, so it's okay. Okay, back to the presentation again. So Python programming. I'm just giving a gist of all the things. I know a lot of things I'm covering, but nothing in detail. Extremely gist. So Python is also an open source programming language. So everybody can use. You don't have to buy to use that language. It helps to write small and large and complex functions. So there are several things we can write, and in fact, Python has become a kind of de facto language now for all the bioinformaticians and also in many areas. Why this has become is it's a kind of language which is very readable, and also it's very less likely that you do some mistakes. And if you to be able to recognize those mistakes, what we do while we are writing the programming language, it's a bit easier compared to other languages. And basically, another biggest aspect is in bioinformatics is it has a large libraries. So library in the sense, so I develop something, and somebody else develops another one. And now if the third person wants to use my thing and another person's thing, so they can get both from our people. So they can take whatever I developed, and the other person, the third person, can take both of these, and this becomes easier. So the third person doesn't have to develop again what the first and second person has developed, and he can choose only to take only the first person's or the second person's, not both. In So that kind of possibility is more there, and now many people started to use. So which means there are more libraries. When you have more libraries, the thing is becomes easier. So whatever you want to do which is already existing, it becomes easier. And so that's the main of the as the biggest reason why the Python is getting popular. So in Python, if you write such a kind of uh, thing in the file, let's write it. Okay, so I use Vim is an editor. I will not explain how it works right now because it's a bit complicated in short time to explain, but I'll just start writing. Okay, we'll write the first Python program. And when I write a Python program, I have to give extension as py. So usually you might know in Windows Notepad, you have like whatever file you create .txt it comes up. For the Python, you have to give like py. And then let's write the same thing, what we have seen. So I have saved this, exited, and then now I can run this like this. Now that came as an output. Maybe we will do some kind of a small mathematics thing, maybe.
Sir, sorry to interrupt. I
Yeah.
just have a question.
Yeah.
So in the same terminal that you run for Linux, we can run Python also.
Yeah, I'll come to that answer. So,
Thank you, sir.
so sure. So if you see here, I just assigned two variables A and B with some values, and now I'm adding them and then assigning back to another variable. And now I will print the output in that variable. So because my output is stored in C now, C variable. And now I will try to output that one. So again, I will run. I'll get 3. Okay, that's a really good question. So here right now what we are there, this is terminal, which means we are actually using commands of operating system. So terminal is operating system. So in that way you can remember, when we are in terminal, we are in the operating system. When I say it's a terminal, then okay, let me see. I think there is a possibility of a drawing board, I suppose, here. Yeah. Okay. So I would say something like this. If okay, so if it is, let's assume, okay, so operating system is that much, and when you use terminal, then you use everything within this. But when you go into interpreter, I'll show you that interpreter what it is. So then we are confined to a smaller area of it. So this is now Python. So we use only some of it. So Python actually works on the terminal. So it uses the operating system and works. Now, it will not have the facility of using all the commands which exist in the computer or in the operating system. Now the point is here again, these set of commands are completely different from the commands which are in the terminal. But Python also has a facility that you can run with from Python what the commands which run in the terminal. So that is also possible. So for example, I go back to terminal again. So right now here I have typed cat and then the first this as in, then I'm able to see what are the contents of this file. Now I'm still in the terminal. Now I go to, now if I want to do a, let's say a equal to 1, this it will not say, it will not recognize. See, it will say command not found, because terminal doesn't have facility of knowing this assigning things. Okay, there is another method which is possible we can do, but basically it is not possible here with doing this. But now if I go to Python, Python has an interpreter. Python is an interpreter language, not it doesn't require a compilation, but I don't go in that direction. That's a different thing. So when I type Python, now I'm still, as if you think that you're still working in terminal, but you're not anymore in the terminal of the operating system, but you're in the Python interpreter. So it's like basically you are only in this small region. You're not anymore in the big region now. So now if I type a equal to 1, and it is accepting now. If you see, kind of to recognize, you have a different symbol here to just to recognize. And so now b equal to 2 and c equal to a plus b, I do, it will do, and then it is accepting all these commands now. And I get the output. The same thing I ran, and then I get everything.
So, sir, in
And
Linux, it's like you can create only this kind of terminal based thing, or you can work on any other platform also.
okay, I need to completely understand your question. So, you first thing is you terminal is an application which is already there, so you don't have to create it in your question. But can you tell me again your question? So you want to
So, sir, this is the terminal that you have created. I mean, it is present in Linux or in Linux
yeah,
OS.
you're using
So,
the terminal. Yeah.
so in the same terminal, it's a kind of OS only. But so my doubt is, in the same terminal, you can run multiple programming languages.
Yes, it is possible. So you can run many programming languages. So I just go out of this terminal interpreter. Now I pressed Control D and I came out of the interpreter. Now if I type, uh, let's say GCC, it's there. Of course, right now it's not running. So GCC is for the C programming language. I'm not sure if I have the Go. Yeah, if I type Go, there's a Go programming language. And so you have several languages which are possible. So you can from the term. So if I type Python and then file name, it's basically using the Python language. And if I type Go and then some file name, then it is using Go language. And if I type GCC or G++, it's going with the C++
C
or the
plus
C
plus.
programming language. And you can install several languages, all the other things, everything you can do from the terminal. So,
Okay, sir.
yeah.
So, sir,
Did that answer? Yeah, go on.
yes, sir. I was just wondering, in Windows, does it have a similar kind of platform, like as you
Yes,
showing in Linux also?
that's possible. In Windows also it's possible. You can open the command prompt and then do that. The only difference is that in Windows and here, um, so the ability to communicate with the operating system, it's so what happens is, I go to this diagram. If you see here, uh, when I have the Python programming language and I have the operating system for the Linux and I keep this one as a Python programming language, it actually uses several resources of existing things, Python programming language. Whereas when you do the same thing in Windows, for Windows, it doesn't have a similar architecture. And so what happens is it has to create its own kind of environment. It becomes something like this, which means it is using very less amount of existing things and it actually creating its own things a bit more, which becomes a bit more burden on the operating system. It becomes, what's the reason? Sometimes it becomes slow. But of course, right now people are using very fast computers, so you don't even recognize that slow or fastness, all those things. That's a kind of difference could happen. And another thing is that the communication directly with the kernel, it's a bit more closer in terms of Linux, whereas it's a bit far. When I say far and close, is like you want to invoke some command, it actually has a more steps to do, whereas in Linux it's a bit closer. That's the thing.
Okay, sir.
Okay, is that answer the
Yeah,
question?
yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So let's go for slides again. So yeah, such a kind of, if you want to do some kind of repetitive jobs, we use loops in Python. So it's a block of code which will actually do a repeat of the code thing, whatever we want to do. For example, I want to write round 6 times here. So this is the code what I write, and it will print like this. So for I in range of 061, then it actually prints round 6 times. So that is possible with the Python. So of course, such kind of a thing. So for loop is a kind of a loop which does a repetitive job or a loop. And yeah, so now I come to basically why you want to learn all these things. I don't know, should we continue or what is it? Time 6? How is it, Indrani?
Yes, sir. You can just take a few more minutes, sir. It's fine.
Okay, sure. Okay, so now we are trying to learn Linux, we are trying to learn Python, and so we see use Galaxy server. So for example, this is a server, or let's say a tool or a kind of framework which is available online. For that you can, it's basically following the cloud computing method. uh, so it is available directly online. I'll just show you. And what it can do is it's basically on demand computer services. So there are cloud computing is something you have, whatever, whenever you want something, you can get the service from the internet directly. So without involvement anything from your local computer or laptop. So there are several service providers for such things: Amazon Web Service or Google Cloud Platform, and they provide storage, databases, networking, and software. Everything is available. So that's basically cloud computing. Kind of is a small introduction to what is cloud computing. Now, in the similar way, this Galaxy also runs. So Galaxy has everything in the cloud. You don't need anything from the local. You just need a browser. You go there and you start using it. And it has a kind of user, and then it has servers behind, and somebody manages. You don't have to manage it. You just give whatever the operations you want to do. So for example, in bioinformatics, you will have some files or some data, you want to join them, or you want to concatenate, you want to take the rows of the data or the columns of the data, or maybe some DNA characters, some within a large set of DNA or RNA characters what you have in the file. You want to choose only some range of things. So some genes, a particular gene or something like that. So all those things are possible. So there are a lot of such things. I'll just show the website first. So here you see the left side, you have all the tools, and then you will, whatever you want to do, you choose those tools, and then the history comes on the right side, and then the steps will be seen. I don't want to go more details on this, because if I start going, it will take a lot of things. So this is how basic it looks like. So you have several tools here, and yeah, you should make an account. You can make an account. It's free, so it's possible for you all. If you want to try this out, it's possible. But I would say, uh, you need to think what you want to do initially. I would say at your age, become more proficient in using the Linux, because this is the age where you can actually learn Linux and then become proficient on that, and then go using this one. I mean, I know bioinformatics is a kind of a interesting topic you want to do. That's good, but become more proficient with the tools what you want to use. First, start using this, and I would say just start installing Linux. There are several videos which will help you in doing that. And of course, if you want, if you're really interested, so we kind of a small group, we are trying to do this. So you can also join the TMS Foundation. There we have a set of people who can help you, so for, even for the installation and other things. So that's also possible. So yeah, so first try to install Linux operating system in your machines, and then go. So for example, maybe I will just give a short idea. If you all, I think most of you have Windows operating systems, and so I will just show if that is a possibility or not. So if you have a Windows operating system, still you can install. So for example, this is my hard disk, and I have, if you see, I have Windows operating system, and I also have Fedora, and I also have Ubuntu. So in the same system, you can install all kind of operating systems. So this is the hard disk what I have, and you can make some kind of partitions, and then you can install. So it becomes a kind of multi-boot operating system. If you still, if you kind of know, okay, if you want Windows, your applications, or maybe your school is asking for some things where you need Windows, you can still have Windows, and then still use Linux operating system. Start using Linux operating system, and once you feel you have everything from Linux, you don't have to go anymore to Windows. It's not that I'm discouraging Windows, but there is a large possibilities with the Linux, and that is why I'm encouraging the Linux. But you should always go by what is required by the requirement, and there is a lot to contribute from the direction of Linux you can do. And then I hope in India get also contribute a lot from the Linux operating system to the Linux operating system, and it can be used by the society much more easily. So there I stop my thing, but of course you can welcome to ask several questions, whatever.
Aradhya, Devansh, if you have questions, please can ask. About the okay, she
Okay,
doesn't have any
somebody's typing.
questions.
Okay. Okay, sure, sure, Indrani. I will do that. I will actually right now we don't have a kind of link. If you are interested, I will invite you, Indrani.
Okay, sir.
Just share me your email address. I will invite to the Slack account, and then
Okay,
you will
sir.
be there.
Sure,
Yeah,
sir. Sure.
sure. Yes.
So, if we don't have any questions, we can call it for the day, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, Razul was just requesting if they can be given some assignments, we can take over to the next session. That is going to be conducted on September 3rd, so next Saturday.
Okay. Okay. So okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So I think okay. I would give. I know, as in terms of commands, of course, you can execute, but as I've seen, both are in the 10th standard. I would want you to take a bit more challenging things. So if it was like 12, 13, 11 years old, I would have happy with the commands. But as you are in the 10th, I would want you to take up a bit more challenging one. If you have your computer or a laptop, think about installing the Linux. So now for that Linux installation, don't do right away, because even if you've seen something, if you understood, once you understand everything and you come up, I will be there with a mail, or maybe if you join the TMS Foundation from there, it's possible to, maybe if not me, then there are several others, or a couple of others, maybe not several, but couple of others at least will also help you. So I would say my assignment, the assignment what I want to give is understand your computer and laptop or whatever machine you have, read whatever you can in internet, watch videos, whatever you want, decide which kind of flavor Linux you want to install, and come up with the questions. If you are not able to install, if you understand completely how to install Linux, understand this and explain in maybe in writing, or maybe, yeah, writing would be better. Couple of, I mean, some a page you can write, but if you think if you can't manage to write everything in a page, it's completely fine. We can have a session, because you're not many people. I'm ready to talk to you how you want to install. Just explain me and I can actually guide you, okay, to add more steps to your thing. So yeah, that would be the thing, my assignment. So gather this as a kind of paper assignment. What you can do is, in one page, write what you want to install, what is your capabilities of your laptop or a computer, and what you require, and how you want to install everything. I would say kind of couple of like say recommendations. I would say think about installing either Ubuntu or Fedora, because you have a lot of resources. You will find a lot of documentation for that. Ubuntu operating system or Fedora operating system, of course. But you're, as I showed, there are thousands of things, distros. You can choose any of these distros. It will not stop you. So there are already ranking as 263 different operating systems and other, but they're not just 263, there are thousands. In fact, big companies like IBM or some companies, if you see, they have their own operating system. They use their own operating system completely for the company. So it's like this, not just we know only about Windows, or maybe heard about like this, but it's like this. So companies have their own operating system, and also a group of institutions also have their own operating systems. But it's good, all are based on kind of same kernel. So once you go into that direction, you will understand everything other things also.
Okay, that's so wonderful, sir. Wonderful to hear from you so
Yes.
much. I mean, it was really brainstorming session for all of us. I hope the students have also enjoyed a lot your way of teaching, and you have been, yeah, it's so exciting talk we had. So if others don't have the questions, we can call it for the day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, sir.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Aradhya. Thank you,
Thank
Devansh.
you, everyone.
If you want to learn more beyond this thing, we may conduct one more separate session on basically on how to install Linux and how to operate this. Because at this stage, I also feel the same thing, because they are the young brains and they can easily learn it very in a fresh mind. So yeah, we can do it in that way. Thank you, sir.
So I can tell you one.
Yeah,
I
sir.
can tell
Please,
you
please,
one
please.
experience. So
Sure,
my
sir.
nephew and niece, my nephew and niece are like 11 and 12 years old. I already gave them completely. They're using only Linux. In fact, my parents, so everybody, I installed only Linux. So everybody starts using Linux.
That's
So
so
it's
nice,
possible.
sir.
It's not that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's not. It's possible. So
So
it's
that's how
completely
we,
possible.
yeah, sir. That's how we'll
Yes.
learn, sir. Because till now, me and Razul, we are just stick on to the Windows only, because we are
Yes.
familiar on this kind of
Yes.
stuff.
Yes.
We don't even think like how to, go with that. Oh my God, it's so difficult, user friendly. We don't much know how to explore about it. But these people are getting that chance and that opportunity. It's really good thing, sir.
Yes.
So having
Yeah.
like expertise like you, it's a very good,
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
great thing, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. Sure.
So yeah, we can call it for the day. Thank you everyone for
You're
joining this
welcome.
session and making it very much wonderful and exciting. So thank
Yeah.
you all of you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.
yeah,
Thank you all.
sure. Thank you everyone.
Okay. Yeah. Bye.
Sundar sir, bye, sir. Bye everyone.
That's a bye. Yeah. Yeah.